My name is Sonia Sarin, and I volunteer for Babe Vote, an organization focused on increasing youth involvement in their governance. Idaho's legislature recently passed House Bill 124, a bill that removes student IDs as an acceptable form of identification for voting at the polls. Governor Little signed the bill into law on March 15th, and yesterday Babe Vote filed a lawsuit challenging the legislation in the Idaho court system. The League of Women Voters of Idaho signed on as plaintiffs in this lawsuit, but today I speak only for Babe Vote and no other organization. Our constitutional republic, Idaho's form of democracy, requires free and fair elections. Our elections in Idaho are safe and secure, and appropriate safeguards are already in place. It is better for our constitutional republic when more eligible voters register and vote. Idaho should be focused on increasing voter turnout, especially among groups that have traditionally voted in lower numbers, like young people. We should not be making it harder for eligible voters to cast their ballots. It is unacceptable if one eligible voter is prevented from exercising his or her constitutional right to vote. There is no need for House Bill 124, and the legislature knows it. Idaho's Secretary of State told the legislature that there has been no voting fraud associated with student IDs. This legislation serves no purpose other than to make it harder for students to vote. This legislation is merely the next in a deliberate line of legislation directed at making it harder for particular groups to vote. Babe Vote volunteers, many of whom themselves are too young to vote, have spent massive time and energy registering and educating young and marginalized voters. We register legally eligible voters at high schools, colleges, community events, at homes, and wherever young people gather. Babe Vote volunteers are proud of our efforts to register, inform, and turn out young, eligible voters, and we are delighted that young voter turnout dramatically increased in the 2020 and 2022 elections. Due in part to Babe Vote's youth-focused voter registration efforts, Idaho has seen by far the highest growth in registration for voters 18 and 19 years old in the nation, with a 66% increase since 2018. Babe Vote is dedicated to enfranchising Idahoans and encouraging participation in our democracy. This legislation will make Babe Vote's voter registration work more difficult as we seek to correct misinformation about this law. Students who already face burdens when attempting to cast their ballots will now be forced to deal with this additional voting obstacle. Enacting this law will increase apathy among students who already find that their voices are not adequately heard. This legislation sends a dangerous message to young voters. We should be doing everything we can to get more young people voting, not creating burdens for them. Let's focus on making it possible for each and every eligible voter to exercise his or her right to vote. Please get out your phones now and register to vote at voteidaho.gov or fill out a voter registration card before you leave today. And remember to request your absentee ballot so you don't miss out on voting. All elections matter, especially local elections. Thank you, and Babe Vote.